So what we'll do in Ariba now today, we'll start with the basics, okay? And I'll just give you an overview of what Ariba looks like and what are the different modules of Ariba and what kind of activity we perform in Ariba. So basically, Ariba is a digital tool, okay? Previously, in older times, we used to work on SAP material management, which was really a very old version, okay? Material management and the ERP, which we used to say non-digital version, you can say. Like for example, I will show you, see SAP SD screen. If you see, this is what is the older ERP which we used to say, the blue screen. Okay, so that's how it used to look previously, and people used to work on this and prepare the business documents like PO and all these kinds of documents. But since times have evolved and SAP recently bought, not recently, it's actually quite some time, it bought a company called as Ariba, and now they're combined called as SAP Ariba, which is the hot topic right now in the market. And every company is trying to get onboarded to Ariba for their business purpose, because this tool is actually helping us to get everything in the same page. So if you see, this is how the SAP Ariba screen looks like. It's almost same as the what you will work on. Okay, it's a test site. So what all activities we'll be performing, I'll make use of this site and will show each and everything which we perform so that you have a real-time experience how things go to be like. I would say 90% will be practical and only 10% would be the theoretical part. So most of the things we'll do practice, and we will try to make sure that you get the hands-on experience on that tool. Okay. So this tool Ariba provides the entire supply chain module functionalities. So I would say the supply chain module, how it works like. So it's simple one liner, I would say. You buy a material, you need a material, you buy a material and you pay that to the person from whom you buy it, right? That is what is buying and invoicing. Okay. So in layman terms, that is the terminology. So basically what happens is that if you do business, so first thing which is needed is you have a requirement, right? You need something to buy. You have a requirement, right? It can be anything. It can be a service, it can be a material, it can be a goods, it can be a human resource, anything. So if you have a requirement, let's say you have a requirement of, let's say, laptop. So how do you buy a laptop? What happens is that we have a requirement, we find the sellers, we ask for the price. Once, let's say, the price is finalized, we say, okay, we are ready to buy at this particular price. At this time, we issue an order. Okay. And that order is called as PO, purchase order. Fine, everyone? That much is clear, Abhinav?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So we issue an order which is called as PO. PO is also called as purchase order. And once we issue the order, they will give us the material, right? Vendor will provide the material, and once he provides the material, then he will ask for a payment. So for the payment, you need invoice. And once the invoice is received, the payment is done. So once the payment is done, this entire flow is complete, and this entire flow, previously people were dependent on different tools for the requirement analysis. They had to do a manual task. They have to send mail to hundreds of suppliers and then ask for the price. Then the supplier used to give the price, and then that price had to be maintained in a particular Excel sheet. And then they have to give a PO to the supplier. Then the PO has to be checked. Then the supplier will give the material. They have to track it manually, right? Keeping follow up with the suppliers and all that, and then invoice and then payment. Entire thing was segregated into several different aspects and several different tools, or basically manually. People used to track it manually via email. So that led to a lot of delay in the entire flow. And from the requirement till the payment, this timeline used to take a lot of time. Okay. It could have been possible in 2 months. The thing took 6 months. Okay. You are asking for the material in June. You're getting the material in December, or the payment is being done in December. So that kind of long timelines were there. So through using Ariba, the companies, the business can make things sorted. How? If you see here in this screen, if you see here in Ariba, we have two modules. So we divide Ariba into five different modules. I'll tell you. So we have something called as modules of Ariba. Okay. We have a module called as supplier lifecycle performance. Okay. That is one module. So this module handles this aspect, requirement till finding the suppliers. Okay. This thing is covered in SLP module. Second module is called as sourcing module. So sourcing module covers the asking for price and finalizing. This comes under sourcing. Okay. Then for issuing an order and this material and all this stuff. So this finalizing aspect, basically finalizing means having a contract. So for contract also there is a module called as contracting module. Okay. And then issuing order, payment, all this stuff is handled by buying and invoicing. And all these modules are part of the same screen. For example, if you see supplier lifecycle performance, this one, supplier management, is supplier lifecycle performance. Most of the things related to supplier you can handle here. If you see in this screen, you can see the suppliers, right? If you want to go to sourcing, you can click here and come to basic sourcing aspect, which you can come. You come home. See, you have sourcing here. So for supplier SLP, you can use these things. For sourcing, you can use these two things. For contract, you can use these things. So all the three things are covered. First three in the same screen. So you don't have to use separate tools. For buying and invoicing, you have to click here and come here. The second Ariba page opens and you can see procurement. Procurement is nothing but buying invoicing. If you click on procurement, entire things related to procurement opens here. So what Ariba says the three things are part of, these things are called as upstream. Okay. And this buying and invoicing is also called as downstream. Okay. So this is the basic Ariba overview. What Ariba is, what Ariba does. Okay. How it
What's
plays
the
out.
meaning of like upstream, downstream, and what's the
It's
significance
a
of it?
name. It's the name. So collectively these things, supplier lifecycle performance, sourcing and contracting, these three activities are collectively called as upstream. And Ariba makes it in one page like this one. If you see C1.test. So if you open Ariba, you have one C1 and without C1. So without C1 is this upstream, where you will see things related to supplier, contract, the first three things. If you want to come to downstream, you have to click here and come to downstream. So this is just to segregate the broader segregation. Because if you think the real money, the transaction takes place here in downstream. Because if you see issuing the order, invoice, payment, all these things where the real money involves, that happens in downstream. Upstream is the place where you are identifying things, you're preparing things for the final transaction. So
Okay.
that part is called upstream. Downstream is the final, the real thing, right? Where the payment makes. Okay.
Yeah, where the actual business starts, like basically payment and all PPO,
Yes, the real transactions,
zero
the real business
transactions.
transactions. Yes, the PO, PR, all these things will start from buying invoicing. Until here, it is about finalizing the business, doing the contracts. So Ariba is so much in demand right now in the market because of the things. First thing is that everything comes under one same roof. You don't have to use three, four different tools for the different activities. All activities can be performed in the same tool. Tracking can be done on the same tool. So things don't get delayed. If you want to know what supplier, where is the supplier, you can see in the supplier lifecycle performance. If you want to see the sourcing, you can see sourcing. If you want to know where your contract is, you can open contract module and you can see the details. Otherwise, what happened previously, we used to go to the emails and search everything, right? So that ticketing was not there. And so we will do the basic start. The first thing which we do is, which is called as requirement. And you need to find the supplier. Okay. So just one question. How do you find a supplier in usual terms? If you want to reach out to suppliers, so if you're calling them and if you are reaching out to them, you will ask them for basic things, right? Do you provide this material or not? Right? We have this requirement. And what is your email ID? In case you're calling them, you'll ask for the email ID. You will tell them I'm calling, my name is this and I want this material, right? Basic requirement. So the track record of that is not maintained normally because you don't know how will you keep the record. You'll note down the number of supplier, right? or you will send them mails. You have to keep a track of the emails. Out of 100, only 5 supplier will respond. That is also right. Previously, this used to happen. So Ariba starts from that simple problem and it tries to resolve that problem in a very beautiful way. So Ariba does a thing which is called as supplier request. Okay, that is the basic start of Ariba, from where we use Ariba. So in Ariba, if someone joins in the Ariba's domain and does job, so the first job they get is of a supplier enablement, okay, or a supplier onboarding. So how do we do that? So create supplier request. Okay. So we have to come to upstream because we are in the downstream module. We have to come to upstream, which is the starting module. Create supply request. Okay.
Sorry,
We toggle to the domains
sorry.
via this earth sign. Hmm.
Yeah, so that name, that C1 profession, and that comes
C1
out
means
automatically.
that C1 means downstream, and normal one without C1 means upstream.
That's by default in Ariba. We don't have to do anything with that.
For this particular server.
Okay, but we can modify that name or something.
Yes, that is
Okay.
updatable. Not a big problem. Creating supply request. There is a glitch maybe. You see.
C1 is the server name or what?
No, it's just the name given. Yes, C1 dot, that is the nomenclature used in this particular server. In normal scenario, it will be different, but it can be written like upstream, downstream also written. It's customizable.
Okay. So it
Main thing is
different.
you toggle it via this site. Okay, you toggle it via site. So whatever is the second one, it's the downstream. Yeah.
So what is the standard name that we should, in a business environment, keep it as like, we cannot have like C1 test. So what should be
No, the
standard?
name is not that important. The thing is that basically in Ariba, what happens? The name is not that needed. I'll show it to you in the screen, by the way. Wait. So this is how you log into Ariba. So normally what happens is you create, and if you see the supplier request, that means you are in the upstream module. If you don't see this, that means you are in the downstream module. If you are like here, and if you try to see, if you don't see supplier request, that means you are in the downstream module. And you see things like invoice, you see things like requisition, that means you are in the downstream module. So the name can be different and it is assigned from when you buy the package from Ariba, that name is already decided. Okay, that is customizable. But when you're buying the package from Ariba, this professor, in normal scenario, in your case, you will buy the domain, right? If you're working for Nestle, it will be Nestle, right? So that is how it is. So I'll try to create a supplier request. This is the supplier request form. The first thing. Okay. Let's say Kumar P is the supplier. Consider you as a supplier and we are trying to onboard you on the Ariba network. Okay. So what will I ask from you? I'll ask for your name. I'll ask for your address, right? For example, any raw address you can give for reference. Electronic City, Street 2. Okay. Country, India. So these are the details. Okay. Once we choose the country, the state comes. So this also we will customize, that when we choose the country, the state page automatically opens. Okay. Okay. So when we are onboarding a supplier, we'll take the name, we'll take the address, we will take the contact email address. Okay. Requested by, let's say, business user, and VAT number. VAT number I'll give it. Okay. So if you see this form, everyone, so I have taken all these details. Any detail is very complicated or very, you would say, any confidential information I've taken?
No.
Others? What do you say?
No, I think that's more pretty much.
If I ask for these information from any supplier, do they have any problem in sharing this information?
No, this is the basic information.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is one supplier request form. It is provided by Ariba, because whatever business you're going to do, you're going to do sourcing, you're going to do contract, you're going to issue purchase order, you're going to do invoice, anything you want to do. First thing is they have to be on the Ariba network, right? Because if I'm sending something via Ariba and they are not receiving it in the same tool, then what's the use? The tracking is broken, right? Like if I'm sending a purchase order to you and if you're not receiving on your Ariba, then what's the use? So what happens is, if I am the buyer, so I'm paying for Ariba. So all my suppliers can use Ariba free of cost. That is what Ariba provides. Okay. So supplier request submission is in progress. Once it is complete, you can view the submitted request. Okay. So I have submitted the supplier request form. We can see the request form. No, that is template. So if I want to see the supplier request, I can come to supplier management and I can see that Yuva Kumar I have already shared, right? It is in the approval stage because I as a user have submitted it. There has to be a certain control mechanism. So I have approved it. So once I approved it, so it is done. I'll refresh it. So it is approved. Once I approved it, so the supplier will get an email on his particular email account, which he had given here. Okay.
So you submitted the form and then you yourself approved it. So
Yes, yes, of course. We will set up the approval flow. But in my case, I've set up the approval flow as such that I have all the access. I can approve it myself. Yeah. To save time. So otherwise, normally happens is that if I am submitting the request, then my supervisor will approve it. I'll set the approval flow as such that my supervisor will get the approval trigger and he will approve it after reviewing all these details that everything is okay. This supplier is good to go to be onboarded on the system. That's it. He approves it and then the supplier will receive one email from my side. Okay. So can you check your email, Yuva, if you can share your screen and see whether the email you have received or not? So see, this is how the screen looks like. So as a buyer, I've sent the invite to the supplier. So the name is auto picked. Okay. The name which is given and see what is written. Professor has invited you to register to become a supplier with me. Start by creating an account with Ariba Network. It's free. Okay. So the supplier account is free of cost. And I use Ariba Network to manage my sourcing and procurement activities and to collaborate with the suppliers. If Yuva Kumar already has an account with Ariba Network, he can sign in. Otherwise, he can create a new account here and his account will be free of cost. Any guesses why his account is free and mine is paid?
because he's just onboarding the tool as a supplier, but not as a direct user of it.
He will also use the account. Yes, he will use the account full time. He will receive the documents in his account only.
But then he's just joining our platform. Like for example,
No, he's joining Ariba platform. Yes, that is true. So making it free has a business perspective. Okay. So as a buyer, I am the one who is involved in the maximum business, right? Suppliers are what? Smaller entities. In the business rule, we say suppliers are the smaller parties. For example, if I am Pepsi, think from Ariba perspective. If I onboard Nestle, Nestle would have maybe 1000 suppliers, right? Because Nestle would be buying coffee beans from someone, milk from someone, chocolate ingredients from someone, packaging from someone. So there might be 20, 30, 50, 100,000 suppliers. So if I onboard Nestle, so all the suppliers which are part of Nestle, they will come via Nestle because it's free of cost. And I will charge money from Nestle. Doesn't it sound practical? No?
Yeah, it is correct.
So
The reason
what's on
why we the vendors on the Ariba platform. That's what your question, right?
So what I was saying is that, so what Ariba does actually, Ariba doesn't charge you money for on a monthly basis in real business. Okay, it doesn't have a flat fees. What Ariba does, it charges you for transactions, number of transactions. Okay, per transaction it will charge a nominal amount, 0.005% of the amount which you have sent the invoice for. That way Ariba makes money. Okay, so rather than charging you a flat fees, I'm charging you for the business transaction you are doing. So even if all the vendors are free, Nestle will send the PO to all the vendor for doing business, right? They will receive the invoices. So each invoice and each PO, I will charge a very small amount of the PO. For example, the PO is $100, I'll charge 0.0005% of that total amount. And if you're sending 1000 POs or 10 lakh POs in a month, it will be a big amount. That is how Ariba makes money. And that is why it's so famous. Okay. Now, click here to create an account. Can you just click here to create an account? So you can create new account. Okay, it gives you the benefits, how Ariba works, what it does. It will digitize your business. It will simplify the sales. They'll be customized, right? Just uh, give the small details like DNS number is not needed. Name and legal name is already there. Scroll down. Choose the state. Okay, scroll down. See, use my email as my username. You can save your email as your username and give the password and repeat password and do the 2 checkboxes and try to submit it. Keep a password which you can remember. See it. Click on the address and confirm which address you think it's good. Confirm. Okay, just open this email. You will get an email for confirmation. Jonna Satish 123.
Okay. Yes.
Open this email. Just confirm it. You can just log in now.
Okay.
Just open the link supplier.ariba.com. Give the username and password and log in. Okay. See, this is successful. Maybe later. This is how supplier account will look like. So how the flow is, the buyer will send a supplier request. I'll fill the request on the supplier's behalf and send an email to the email which he has provided. Supplier will get the email with the link. They will open the link. They will confirm the email address and then they will fill the details, right? Or basically confirm. They'll set the username, password, and then they can log in. Once they log in, see, this is the standard account. If you see on the top side, SAP Business Network standard account. Standard account means free of cost account. Okay, this is a free account for the supplier. So all the testing in future which we want to do, okay, all the documents which we want to send in the future, basically sourcing all these things. So we can do this by using this vendor account as a reference account. Okay, just click on the business network. Come to Ariba proposal and questionnaire. Remind later. See, there is one status open. Scroll down little bit. See, there is a supplier registration questionnaire which is open. Click on that.
Yes.
So how Ariba functions is I want to show you. Okay. See, these questions, just scroll down. These questions will be more detailed. Scroll down the questions. Are you willing to transact 3.6 and 3.7 questions? Are you willing to able to provide electronic catalog content via the Ariba network? These questions are more confidential in nature. If you click on bank information, 6th number
Okay.
on the left hand side, see, I'm also asking for the bank information. Okay. So what Ariba plans and how Ariba functions is that supplier request is more of a non-confidential things, email, name, address. Okay. Once those things, because if I ask someone directly, if I ask some supplier directly for the bank details, they will not provide me, right? But since this is supplier's account, and this is free. So every supplier has no problem in onboarding to Ariba network, because if it was paid, no supplier would like to onboard to Ariba network. They'll say, why? Why will I pay money? But since this is free, so they'll directly onboard to the Ariba network and they will fill these details because this is his portal. They're not giving these details to me. They're filling it on their own portal, right? So this is registration. So first step is supplier request, and after supplier request is done, supplier registration. So request is done from the buyer, but registration, which is detailed one, has to be done from the supplier's own Ariba account. Okay. And once he does the registration, then all the things can be done. All the documents, everything can be sent to him electronically on the network. So this way, all the suppliers are on the Ariba network. Buyer is also on the Ariba network. So no one has to go outside of the network and do anything. Everything, every activity can be performed in the same tool.
So this is just an initial process. It just we're having it. Yeah.
Starting process. Yes. This is
But
from where everything starts.
so with discussion with the supplier that hey, we want to do business with you, so we are sending this form, and then they'll expect us to send a form.
This
And
is
then
the form.
yeah, no, I'm just saying, before that we'll have initial discussion with them, right? And then
Yes, of course. So in the supplier request, what happens? We tell them, share your email address and share your number. We'll send you a link. So that's what we did. We sent the link. Okay. They open it up and they have a registration questionnaire. So this registration questionnaire is like that. It can be amended. Okay. It can be customized based on your business requirement. So these are the standard questions which we have. We can also change the questions based on your business need. For example, you want to involve a question based on HR policy. What is your code of conduct? Do you have a certification, right? Are you ISO certified? If you want to add these questions, you can add these questions as per your company need. So this is completely customizable. We do that. Okay, based on client requirement, we will make changes in the questionnaire. We'll update the questionnaire. We'll also have a timeline. So like the timeline we have involved here is how much. If you can see on the top right side, how much time are we giving to the supplier to fill this?
30 days.
Almost 30, exactly 30 days. So that is also amended. That is also customizable based on business. If you think that one supplier has to complete the registration process in 7 days, you can make the changes. You want it to be done in 5 days, you can do it. So most of the things are customizable in Ariba. It gives you the facility to do that, but the process will remain same. The first thing is supplier request and then registration. You cannot send the registration directly. Okay, registration has to be done from the supplier's end only. We cannot register the supplier on his behalf because most of the return registration is confidential in nature.
Okay.
Any other question?
Yes, yeah, I have few things to be asked to you.
Yes.
Uh, Maybe I'm little advanced or whatever it
No,
is.
no issues. It was just initial because everyone has different skill sets. So I want to keep it from the scratch and then slowly we'll move to the advanced version.
Okay. What exactly is the difference between SAP and SAP Ariba? One thing. The other thing is, to the best of my knowledge, Ariba is an independent tool which was acquired by SAP.
Yes, I told you. Yes, it was an independent company which was acquired. Yes, that is true.
Yeah. So now Ariba is a purely complete end-to-end
Solution. Yes, exactly.
it's a cloud application, right?
Cloud application. Yes, it's on cloud. There's nothing, no system requirement needed. You can run it from anywhere. You can even run it from your mobile phone. No problem.
Opening a Gmail and sending mails, receiving something like.
Yes, exactly. It is like that. So what you're saying is SAP MM. What MM was? It was material management. It was limited to material management only. There was ST, sales and distribution. FICO, it was only for finance accounting. So SAP had different versions. It is still there. I'm not saying that it's not there, not working today. It is there. It is also used. But what Ariba is doing, it is telling you to integrate that.
Okay.
With SAP Ariba. Yes. So your S4 HANA is getting integrated with SAP Ariba so that whatever things you perform in SAP Ariba that gets directly reflected in the MM. So you don't have to open your MM and check anything. Like you create PO here, that PO will be reflected there.
Do I need to learn SAP first and then for
No, that will not be helpful because if you try to learn first, then because today what is happening now in real business, what I'm saying is there was SAP ECC. If you know about SAP, there was SAP ECC which was used. It's still used. Okay. So SAP ECC is going to be, you can say, closed by the next year. Okay. Ariba has already announced, SAP has announced that we'll be shutting down the ECC model. ECC will be closed. So all your SAP, whoever is using ECC, they have to move to S4 HANA.
Correct.
Okay. So everyone is moving to S4 HANA. So Ariba is giving them the chance that either move from ECC to S4 HANA or you can directly move from ECC to Ariba. So 90% companies are doing that. They are saying that they have an idea that one day ECC is also going to be closed because whatever enhancement, whatever updation SAP is investing right now, they are investing in Ariba. So they are understanding this thing that ECC is getting closed by next year. One day, maybe coming 2, 3, 4, 5 years, S4 HANA is also going to be closed. So rather than directly moving to S4, they're directly saying, okay, we'll directly onboard to Ariba. We'll skip the S4. If you're trying to learn S4, which is already like it is in use right now, but more or less, I would say 3, 4, 5 years coming, it is going to be closed because ECC is going to be closed in 2026. And then the next number is S4. So rather than that, directly learn Ariba so that you stay relevant. Because whatever new things, whatever new enhancements are coming, they're coming in Ariba, not in MM. That's the problem. MM is just master data in the background. It will be there as a backend. Okay.
Will Ariba cover SD module also?
Yeah, partially.
But this is a cloud platform and what about the CIG, cloud integration?
CIG, yes, we will learn CIG as well. CIG integration also we will learn how to integrate S4 with the Ariba and how the integration flows, how the mapping is done, how the mappings are there. So that also we will learn. We'll also learn the catalogs. We'll also learn how to set up the parameters. We'll also learn how to set up the approval flow, everything.
Okay. What is the role of a functional consultant in CIG, cloud integration?
Setting
Isn't
up
it?
the CIG, checking the troubleshooting whatever documents are flowing, troubleshooting. If any document is stuck in the CIG, he has to check. download the payload, download the XML files, see all the XML files, check whatever is there or not, whatever problems they are facing in the file, or if there is problem on the supplier end. So basically troubleshooting. Functional consultant's job is more about troubleshooting, because people will face issues and his job will be to resolve them as an expert on SAP Ariba. Okay then, thank you so much.